What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 43 of the Downtown Browntown podcast. I'm your host, Downtown Brown. Today, we're going to discuss the Milwaukee Bucks winning the NBA championship last night, 105-98 against the Phoenix Suns. Bucks in 6. The prophecy is delivered. The Bucks close out the Suns in 6 after being down 2-0 in the NBA Finals. Really not going to be too much analysis here. Just going to kind of reflect on the whole run and just appreciate this because it's truly special. So before we get into that, again, just want to make sure to remind everyone to please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, and make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well. Twitter, I'm at downtown_Brown. Instagram, downtown_Brown33, all lowercase. All right, let's get right into it. I'm repping the finals gear here, just stocked up on the hat, the shirt, ready to go. Last night was special. I was able to be at the game last night, and it was something I'll never forget. Just an amazing moment to see my favorite team win a title in front of my own eyes. It was truly special. Bucks 105-98 in Game 6. Started off the first quarter really well, 29-16, up by obviously 13 points going into the second, and the Bucks really struggled in the second quarter, only scoring 14 points, would be trailing at halftime 48-43. Really, it looked like the Bucks were tense to start this game. Really, throughout the whole first half, you could see that they were a little nervous, making some ill-advised mistakes, turnovers, very sloppy in the first half. And you know, there was a lot of pressure on the Bucks to close this one out in front of the home fans. You know, obviously this whole playoff run, we have closed out every single series on the road up until last night for the finals. But again, just for them to, you know, have that opportunity to close it in front of the fans, there's definitely a lot of nerves there. I mean, you could say more pressure was on the Suns because it was an elimination game, and rightfully so. But I mean, still a lot of pressure on the Milwaukee Bucks to close that one out. The crowd was nuts. They brought the energy. It was an awesome atmosphere in there, and really you could see that the Bucks were a little nervous in that first half. But third quarter comes around, and the Bucks obviously played a lot better in the third quarter. They won that quarter by 5, so they were able to tie up the game 77 apiece going into the fourth quarter. Oops, sorry about that. And then in the fourth quarter, the Bucks win that by 7 and close out the NBA Finals at home. Got to start with just being happy for the guys. I mean, who is more deserving of an NBA championship than Giannis? I mean, he literally just carried this team on his back. 50 points, a 50 burger last night, 16 for 25 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. The most significant stat for him was 17 for 19 from the free throw line. I mean, that's where champions are made right there. Giannis clearly has struggled from the free throw line his whole career, especially in the playoffs, and he brought it last night. If he doesn't make that many free throws, could be a different story, could be a different result. But 17 for 19 from the free throw line is just amazing for him. 14 boards, 2 assists, and 5 blocks. Some huge blocks at that. I mean, he just carried the Bucks on his back last night. This is one of the best finals performances ever in the history of the NBA. I mean, 50 points in a closeout game, 14 boards, 5 blocks. I mean, he was just impacting the game in so many different ways, and he was not going to allow the Bucks to lose this game in front of the home fans. I mean, Giannis is already a legend. I mean, he's easily a top 20 player of all time at this point in his career, 26 years old. He is now an NBA champion, a finals MVP. He has 2 league MVPs, 5 all-star appearances, 5 all-NBA selections. He has an all-star MVP, defensive player of the year last year. I mean, you name it. His resume at this point in time was better than LeBron's at 26, better than Jordan's at 26. Now, obviously, their careers have been a lot longer and they've had a lot of success. Not saying he's at that level, but just to be where he is right now and to win a championship the way that he won it, not joining a super team, sticking with the team that drafted him, Bucks in the 2013-2014 season were 15-67. That was the record, 15 wins. Chris Middleton, Giannis were the only two that are left from that team, and they did it the hard way. They came from the bottom, and they were able to win this title together, and it's just amazing. Again, no one more deserving than Giannis. Couldn't be more happy for him. All the emotions coming out from him last night. I mean, he's wanted this ever since he's joined the league, wanting to win it for the city of Milwaukee, and he delivered on his promise. The year he signs the Supermax, and the Supermax kicks in next season, so he wins a title before that Supermax contract kicks in. I mean, just he couldn't write a better story and couldn't be more happy for Giannis. So got to start there. Giannis clearly deserving of the Finals MVP. It's not even a debate, especially even if he wouldn't have put up 50 last night, still he was the Finals MVP in the series. He had some of the best plays of NBA Finals history. The sun block in Game 4 on DeAndre Ayton, blocking that alley-oop. The valley-oop in Game 5 where Jrue Holiday steals it from Devin Booker and gives him the alley-oop pass to take the lead by 3, and just the 50-point monstrosity that he had last night. I mean, it's truly, it might be the greatest Finals performance ever. It's definitely up there. I'd have to look back at all the other historic performances, but Giannis in his first Finals clearly did not disappoint, and it was just legendary. Something I'll never forget. Go down the list of Chris Middleton next. Definitely struggled early on in the game. Still finished with 17 points, 6 for 13 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. Hits all 4 of his free throws, 5 boards, 5 assists, and 4 steals for Chris. Again, he came through when we needed him to, and he's done that all playoffs long. We saw it in the Nets series, we saw it in the Hawks series, in the Heat series, and in these NBA Finals. When the Bucks needed a bucket late in games, he was the one to deliver it, and he absolutely did that again last night. Even though he didn't have a dominant offensive performance, still Chris did just enough, and he came through when we needed him most, and that's all you can ask for. Again, couldn't be more happy for Chris Middleton. I'm obviously probably going to say that for every player on this team, but for Chris Middleton, I mean, he was drafted in the second round, was in the G League for a bit, traded to the Bucks from the Pistons, pretty much as a throw-in. The Bucks trading Brandon Jennings to the Detroit Pistons for Brandon Knight and Chris Middleton, who again was pretty much a throw-in in that trade, and turns out to be one of the best second-round picks of all time, an NBA champion, 2-time All-Star. Hasn't made an All-NBA team, but still, Chris Middleton has ascended into the ranks. I think he's a Hall of Famer at this point in time. He's going to be able to put up the stats the rest of his career. I mean, just the way that he performed in this playoffs, he proved all the doubters wrong. Again, I've been a Chris Middleton supporter all along. Not going to sit here and brag about it, but there's plenty of people who have ripped on him a lot. And you know what? He made all those guys pay. And really, it's just awesome to see him and Giannis win the title. It was so cool when they asked Giannis at the ceremony, what it meant for him to win it with Chris, and he just looked at him with the biggest grin. And it's just too cool of a story. You just don't see like stuff like this. Guys being teammates for 8 years and winning a title in the 8th year after being 15-67 at one point. Their second season together and end up winning an NBA championship, 7 years later. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. And really for me, Giannis and Chris, just, you couldn't be more happier for those guys. We'll go to Coach Bud next. Coach Bud obviously deserves to keep his job. That's not even a debate, but couldn't be more proud of him. He really came through this playoff run and really all season long. Obviously the regular season was a little bit of a roller coaster, but the Bucks were making adjustments the whole regular season, just trying to figure out what works best, mainly defensively, just trying to make little tweaks with the rotations, with the schemes, and what kind of plays they're running on offense even. And it proved to be the right approach. Obviously last year in the bubble, was a big disappointment for the Bucks, and there was a lot of rumors that maybe Bud wouldn't be around, that we'd fire him. But they had a meeting after the bubble and with him and the owners, and I'm sure they talked about things like, look, bud, you've been stubborn these last 2 years, not making adjustments, and you've got to make some adjustments or your job is going to be gone. And he was clearly the coach on the biggest hot seat this season, and boy, did he ever fight through that adversity. So again, made a lot of adjustments this regular season, all playoffs long, every single series, especially in these NBA finals, made some big time adjustments. Game 2, throwing Jrue Holiday and Chris Paul, just ways to use different guys. Brook Lopez, obviously we switched 1 through 5 in game 1 with Brook Lopez and got torched. After that, we never saw that again. Seeing more Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton going small with Giannis at the center, running more pick and roll action with Giannis and Chris on offense. These are some big time adjustments, and just hats off to Coach Bud for an unbelievable run this year. He's got 1 year left on his deal, but there's no doubt he will get an extension this offseason, and he clearly deserves one. Coach Bud is an NBA championship coach, and he's so deserving of it. There can't be any more Bud slander at this point in time. No more fire Bud chants, none of that. You know what? He delivered the Bucks an NBA championship, and he's got to be rewarded for that. So just couldn't be happier for the guy. I don't know if he slept all playoffs long. I mean, that guy was just under so much stress. But I mean, he was definitely choking up last night in his post-game press conference, and it's just awesome to see. He wanted this so badly. He loves coaching this team, and he's done a great job at it. And I'm happy that Coach Bud will be around for the long haul, because he clearly deserves it and just did an amazing job this season, especially. And again, kind of running down on the list here, I mean, just to see all these guys being able to win an NBA championship. Jrue Holiday plays 46 minutes last night, was very bad on offense. 12 points, 4 of 19 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, hit both of his free throws, 9 boards, 11 assists, but 4 steals, flirting with a triple-double there, just 1 more rebound, 4 steals. He came up with some huge plays defensively like he has all season, all playoffs long. Jrue Holiday clearly was deserving of everything that we gave up for him this offseason. Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, 3 first-round picks, 4 first-round pick swaps. Take whatever the hell you want. I mean, he was clearly, he was clearly worth it. I don't think we were going to win a title with Bledsoe. Again, we were so close in 2019. But again, you know what? He just was not the guy to get it done. And Jrue Holiday is just exactly what this Bucks team needed. So happy for him in his first season to be crowned a champion with the Bucks. I mean, he's just such a good dude. I love listening to his post-game press conferences. He speaks really well. Obviously, he's just a really good guy. He donates a lot of money to the community of Milwaukee already since he's been here. He donated like all of his salary from the bubble last year. I mean, he's just a class act human being, and just to see him be an NBA champion, it's just amazing. And that he's going to be around for the long haul, really the big 3 being locked in for the next 4+ years. I mean, it's just so exciting. And I'm such a big Jrue Holiday fan, and so happy for him. He clearly made the difference for this Bucks team. He's exactly what we needed, that defensive presence, more reliable on offense, can hit shots, and just an all-around great dude. So love me some Jrue Holiday, and just so happy for him. Brook Lopez, 10 points last night for him in 27 minutes, 5 for 10 from the field, missed all 3 of his 3-pointers, 8 boards and a steal for Brook. +9 in his minutes. I thought Brook was fantastic last night. There were stretches in the first half where he was definitely getting cooked on defense. It looked a lot like game 1 where they were hunting Brook Lopez, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul, trying to get him on those pick and roll actions so they'd be guarding him and they'd just get to their mid-range shot and pull it. A lot of times make it. So I was kind of calling for Brook to get less minutes, but you know what? I thought he played really well offensively. 5 for 10 from the field. He made some big shots in the third and fourth quarters just to keep the pace going for the Bucks. And really, he played well last night. In 27 minutes for him to score 10 points, it's exactly what we needed from him. We needed a little bit more offense from some other guys because, I mean, outside of Giannis's 50 burger, didn't get anyone with 20 plus points. So for Brook to be able to put up 10 points last night was huge. And again, a guy who's been in the league since 2008, has had a great career. You know, he was an all-star with the Brooklyn Nets. He is the all-time leading scorer in Nets franchise history, which some people might not know, which is crazy. I mean, he was a 20-10 guy for years with the New Jersey Nets at that point in time. Now they are the Brooklyn Nets. But again, Brook Lopez has had a very interesting career. He was mainly a post guy at that point in time. And once he joined the Lakers, he started shooting threes. And obviously that first year he signed with Milwaukee in 2019, he was lighting it up from three. He was letting it fly. That's pretty much where that motto came from. It felt like Brook Lopez shooting deep threes. And he really changed his game and really became an elite defensive player when he came to the Bucks as well. He was not known as a defensive player earlier on his career. So just to see the revelation of Brook's career, you really don't see that from a lot of guys, just totally changing the way that they play, going from a 20-10 all-star guy who plays just in the paint to all NBA defensive player, an all defense player. That was last year. He was second team, going from a guy who can score in the paint and hit 3-pointers right around mid 30%, and just totally change his game. Just hats off to Brook Lopez. He's such an awesome guy. I'm so happy that he's a champion. And he was big last night and made some big plays. Let's go on PJ Tucker next. Again, no points for PJ, but he was plus 13 in his 36 minutes. Only took 1 3-pointer, 6 boards and assists, a steal for PJ. Had a really big steal on Devin Booker. I think it was in the third or fourth quarter. Can't quite remember. But for PJ Tucker, obviously he's had an interesting career as well. Had to go overseas for a while when he was drafted, couldn't quite make it in the NBA, and then he ended up signing with the Phoenix Suns. I think it was in 2015, and then he signs with then he gets traded to Toronto Raptors, and he was on those teams and had a couple. He had one good playoff run with them when they had Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. This was, I think, a year or two before they won the title. And then he goes to the Rockets and has some really nice runs with them. Was up 3-2 in the conference finals against the Warriors, and Chris Paul gets hurt, and they should have won that series, but they couldn't pull it out. Definitely could have won the championship that year. And then he gets traded to the Bucks, and he wanted to come here. He felt like he could help this team win a title and that he would fit in perfectly. And boy, did he ever do that. I think for me, the thing I'll remember about PJ Tucker this year was just how great he was in that Nets series guarding Kevin Durant. We would not have beaten that Nets team without PJ Tucker. He was built to guard Kevin Durant for the Bucks, and he just made things difficult on him, and that's all you can ask for. Still, PJ had some nice moments throughout the rest of the postseason, but for me, I'm always going to remember him and how he played Kevin Durant in that Nets series. He was truly spectacular on defense and just brought that dog mentality to the Bucks that we desperately needed. So again, for PJ Tucker, couldn't be more happy for him. Again, a guy who's 36 years old. This might have been one of his last opportunities to win a title, and for him to do it with this team, it's just awesome to see. I hope that he's back on the Bucks next year. We'll get to that in a future episode. Talk some more off season, but for PJ Tucker, what a trade by John Horst. Again, couldn't commend him enough for how amazing of a trade that was, giving up the terrible contract of DJ Augustine, DJ Wilson, and 2 second-round pick, or a second round, or we swapped we gave the Rockets our first round pick this year. We got their second rounder, and I think we gave them one more pick. I don't remember if it was a first or a second, but anyways, that was a steal. I mean, to get PJ Tucker with basically giving up nothing at that point in time in terms of like rotation players, was just a steal. And PJ Tucker was just so massive in the playoffs. Again, really in that Nets series, still had some nice moments throughout, but he was clearly needed the most against Kevin Durant, and he came through. So couldn't be more proud of PJ Tucker. He's now an NBA champion. Bobby Portis, got to start with him next. What a game from him last night. 16 points in 23 minutes, 6 for 10 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, hit both of his free throws, 3 boards and a block for Bobby. he was just fantastic last night. Clearly the Bucks were struggling to score in the first half, and Bobby was one of the guys who was really getting it done. I think he had 11 points in the first half. At least he had 9. I know that. But for him, what a performance for him. I mean, the crowd obviously gravitates towards him. The Bobby chants are electric. And he's a Bucks legend just after 1 year with the team. Again, hopefully he can return to the team next year. Not going to dwell on that right now, but anyways, Bobby Portis just brought it last night, and 23 minutes for him is a lot. He's been hovering right around like 15 to 20 this series, but he was just really effective, and he closed the fourth quarter of this game. Played at least 8-9 minutes in that fourth quarter because he was just effective. Pat Connaughton really struggled last night. We'll get to him next, but he couldn't really get anything going for the Bucks. He was minus 21 in his 23 minutes. That means when Pat Connaughton was in for those 23 minutes, the Bucks were outscored by the Phoenix Suns by 21. That is a big spread. So Bobby Portis was +6 in his 23 minutes. He was clearly more effective last night, and I'm so glad that Coach Bud stuck with him even in the fourth quarter, even over Brook Lopez. I think Lopez only played a minute or two in that fourth quarter. Pat Connaughton had some minutes, but Bobby Portis was really playing well, and I'm so glad that he was able to close out that game. I mean, like I said, he's a Bucks legend already. The coolest moment for me was when we were watching the ceremony. We stayed for the ceremony, obviously, last night at the game. And when after they were talking to Drew, the fans started chanting Bobby so he could get on the mic. And then he goes up to the mic, and Drew still had the mic, and he's chanting Bobby, Bobby. That was so cool. And for Bobby, just to, he said he was pretty much depressed in the offseason. He didn't get to go to the bubble because his team didn't have a good enough record. And he was just working out by himself and was really in his head. And for him, there was a report that came out a few weeks ago that he texted Giannis in the offseason. He's like, hey, I want to come play for the Bucks and help you guys win a title. And the rumor has it that Giannis talked to John Horst to get Bobby Portis on the team. So that sequence in itself is crazy. But for Bobby Portis, I mean, he was just big time in this series, especially when we needed some baskets. He was able to get them. Just has been a reliable scorer for the Bucks all season long. Been a great piece off the bench, and he's an NBA champion. And it's just awesome that he was able to be on this team. He's just a great guy, and I really expect him to be in the Bucks next year. He has a player option for, I think, about $3 million. Obviously, he's due for a raise. I think he's going to decline that option, but I think the Bucks are going to find a way to re-sign Bobby because you just have to. I mean, he's just too good of a locker room fit, too good of a player for this team, and obviously the fans love him. So I think that Bobby would even take a little bit of a discount to return to the Bucks and run it back. The Bucks are defending champs next year and have a chance to be back-to-back champs. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that. So congrats to Bobby Portis. Again, leading the Pat Connaughton here. He really struggled in his 23 minutes, 0 points. Again, I mentioned the minus 21. He did have 8 rebounds, though, and he had a really big offensive rebound late in the fourth quarter to give the Bucks a second chance opportunity. But for Pat Connaughton, at this game, even though it wasn't good, he still had an unbelievable playoff run. This series, the Nets series, the Hawks series, every single series, he was just fantastic and really proved the doubters wrong. I love giving my praise for Pat because I was calling his name all regular season. I've been a supporter of him. People wanted him to get out of the rotation, and I just knew that he was better than any other option that we had, and he just makes winning plays, and that's the thing for me for Pat Connaughton. 8 rebounds for a small guard like him is just fantastic in a closeout finals game. Still think that his performance in this playoffs could get his jersey retired in the rafters someday. I really do. I'm taking that take from Ty Windish still. I'm not taking it from him, but I support his take that Pat Connaughton's jersey should be retired in the rafters after that playoff run. But for him, again, just couldn't be happier for Pat Connaughton. I mean, all the other guys, obviously Jeff Teague's the only one who played. Only other player who played in the game last night, 2 minutes, was -5 in those 2 minutes. He was bad, but you know what? Whatever. Jeff Teague's a champ. all the guys on the bench. Bryn Forbes has been great this year. I mean, he was unbelievable in that Miami Heat series. Couldn't find much else outside of that. But still, for him to be a champion, I feel so bad that Thanasis couldn't be there last night. Obviously, he's in the health and safety protocols right now. I really hope he can make the parade tomorrow. I cannot wait to be there for that as well. I just got a new job and I'm off this whole week. Couldn't work out any better. I get to, go get some Bucks gear this morning and then go to the parade tomorrow before I start my new job. I mean, it's awesome. But anyways, just for all the bench guys, feel bad for Thanasis, but really hope he can make the parade tomorrow. Giannis was FaceTiming him during the celebration last night during the trophies ceremony. But Thanasis is a champ. All three of the Antetokounmpo brothers that are in the NBA are NBA champions. Kostas, who was a champion with the Lakers last year, he is now playing overseas, but still he was in the NBA last year and he's an NBA champion. Now the other two Antetokounmpo brothers on the Bucks are NBA champions, and it's just amazing. All the other guys who round out the bench, congrats to them for winning this title. It's just, the city needed it. The city hasn't won an NBA, or the city of Milwaukee hasn't had a championship since the Bucks won in 1971. 50 years in the making. Brewers have never won a World Series. Bucks get their second title, first one in 50 years. The city has just been desperately starving for a championship, and for the Bucks to bring it home, it brings too much joy to me. Obviously, this is my favorite team. Huge Packers fan. Still love the Brewers too. Just can't get into baseball quite as much. But I'm a Bucks guy at heart. I always will be. Have been my whole life. Even the rough days, pretty much all of my lifetime until these last few years. Besides the little run we had with Ray Allen in the early 2000s, but. Again, been through the lows, but this is the ultimate high for the Bucks, and for me as a fan, just couldn't get much better than that. Now, obviously, starting this podcast this year, never thought it would be my first year in the pod. I'd be celebrating a championship. It's awesome. I'm so happy that I did this. Just kind of did it willy nilly. Been listening to a lot of podcasts when COVID shutdown was happening. I just decided, why not just make my own? And I'm certainly glad that I did that. Don't really care about the following size or anything like that. I just kind of do it out of enjoyment. Hoping to get some more things in the works here. I should be on Spotify sooner than later. Been a big delay with that. Really hoping in the coming weeks I can get on there and start producing some more content. Going to have a lot more guests on in the future when I do get on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all those podcasting formats. Platforms, I should say. So definitely going to be having a lot more guests on because that's a lot of fun. I'm going to try and spice it up and do some different kind of content for you guys next year. But again, I really enjoyed the run, obviously, being NBA champions. It's just unbelievable. But hats off to the Phoenix Suns. They played a tough series. They had an unbelievable year. It's hard not to feel bad for Chris Paul. I mean, he's 36, 37, first finals appearance, couldn't get it done. I mean, obviously I'm glad that it happened, but still just, it's hard not to feel bad for him. I'm not a big Devin Booker fan, obviously, after the series, but he played his butt off and he's an unbelievable player. Coach Monty Williams over there is a class act. He went in the Bucks locker room and spoke to some of the guys after the game. I mean, he's a total class act professional coach, clearly one of the better ones in the league, and definitely feel for them, but they gave it a hell of a fight, and so glad that the Bucks were able to pull it out and win the series in 6. The prophecy has been delivered. Brandon Jennings was at the game last night, banging the drum right before the game started. He's easily one of my favorite Bucks of all time. And it was awesome to see him there. He was celebrating with the guys after the game. He had the trophy in his hands. It was so cool. I mean, just to witness that moment was just something I'll never forget. And what a ride it's been. I want to thank everyone for supporting the podcast throughout the whole entire season. I'm still going to be making content, making podcasts throughout the off season. We got the draft coming up. I think it's next week. So definitely have something out for that. Free agency should be right around the corner too. So I'm definitely going to do an off season free agency podcast talking about potential guys that we might who's free agents, who's going to re-sign with the Bucks, who are guys we might look to acquire that are on other teams that are free agents, stuff like that. So definitely going to be pushing out some more content, maybe one episode a week here in these next couple weeks. And then there'll definitely be a dry spell where there's not much going on. So might take a little bit of a break after free agency, but we'll definitely be back getting into the preseason. Going to be looking to keep things more consistent next year, doing 2 episodes a week. I'll nail down the specifics, but again, once I get on this podcasting platforms, which is definitely going to be before next season, we'll be spitting out some content here, having a lot of guests on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So just want to thank everyone again for supporting the podcast. Please feel free to share it to anyone that might enjoy it. It's been a run. It's been awesome. Definitely not giving it up here. Got to run it back after the championship season this year. And thanks again. Again, please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. And again, thanks everyone. Bucks are NBA champions. Let's go.